Hey there, welcome back to the channel this week. This week's episode we're going to be getting a little bit technical, but not really that bad. But we're going to be talking about something that I think about every once in a while when I go out and shoot. And that is that I use A mode too much. And maybe you do too. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to talk you through what I use in a lot of different situations where I want to make sure that my exposure is spot on, my shutter speed is correct, my aperture is correct, not just my aperture, and I'm not going to let the camera figure out what my shutter speed is. And I'm talking about T mode on the Fujifilm cameras. Time mode, it's a wonderful setting that you can use to make sure that your images are all the way you want them to look. Now, what I'm talking about here is having auto ISO as your safety net. So let's go over that right now. For the most part, I like to use A mode, aperture control or aperture priority, because it really just gives me that overall feeling that I'm controlling what the image is going to look like as far as in focus, out of focus, background, out of focus, all that. But you know, the biggest problem is that I'm always checking the shutter speed to make sure it's high enough so that things don't get a little bit blurry. Now, IBIS in these new cameras is really good. The X-T5 here and the X-T50, it's great. And you know, of course, all the other cameras that have the IBIS in it. But I want to make sure that you understand that in certain circumstances where you want to make sure that the subject that's moving quickly or moving quite a bit is going to be nice and sharp. Now you got wind in landscape photography, street photography, you've got people moving around, sports, you got people moving all over the place. So there are certain circumstances where you want to make sure that shutter speed is high enough to freeze the action, okay? Freezing the action, like I said, flowers, people moving around, sports, different things. So keep in mind, you can also dial in aperture priority with your auto ISO settings of 1, 2, and 3. When you, let's say fall days, when you got clouds going by constantly, auto ISO is your friend. And you make sure that you have everything set the way you want it. It means shutter, aperture, and you let the camera figure out what the ISO is going to be. Let's go over how I set up my cameras with auto ISO and T mode. All right, so I'm going to set up my camera here for auto ISO. And I set all of mine to a minimum sensitivity as 125 or default sensitivity. In Auto 1, I've got max sensitivity set to 800, and my minimum shutter speed is at 1/125th of a second. I go down to Auto 2, and my default sensitivity is the same. My max sensitivity is set to 3200, and the minimum shutter speed is the same. The thing that changes here in Auto 3 is my max sensitivity changes to 12.8, pretty much as high as you can go, and minimum shutter speed is set to auto, because in this mode here, what happens is that you're probably never going to shoot up to 12,800. So more than likely, auto is going to be able to take care of anything you do. So on your ISO dial on your camera, you have A for auto and C for command dial. Command dial lets you use your front command dial to pick your auto ISO 1, 2, or 3. Your auto ISO 1, 2, or 3. Now, A is just that, automatic. The camera figures out your ISO no matter what. But it's going to be using what you've picked for your auto ISO, like 1, 2, or 3. Let's say 2, for instance. So I pick A and then 2, and your camera's going to figure out everything for you. Okay, thanks for dropping by the channel this week. We had a pretty good discussion of what auto ISO is and how we can control it, and how that works with aperture priority and T mode. I gotta tell you, I use aperture priority a lot. But I gotta tell you, I'm always looking over to the left-hand side of the screen to see what my shutter speed is and if my ISO and my shutter speed are working correctly together. So when I'm shooting sports outside, I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 12/50th or 1,000th of a second at 5.6. This is bright daylight. And I've got my auto ISO set at auto ISO 2. And that's great because it just floats, keeps my exposure where I want it. Sometimes I'll minus the exposure a little bit, exposure compensation dial. So anyway, that's how it works. So let me know in the comments what you do, if you use T-mode at all. I use T-mode all the time for news assignments and for sports because it makes sure that everything's going to be perfect. I don't have to worry about it. I use auto ISO in T-mode to make sure that everything is working correctly. If I was using aperture priority, that might be a problem, and it might slip down too low to have, if somebody moves around too much and I got my shutter speed too low, so I don't even deal with it. I use it on T-mode. It's basically it's manual mode with auto ISO, which works great. I've been doing this with, I did it with my Canon gear a long time ago. It works awesome. So thanks for dropping by the channel this week, and if you wouldn't mind, please give me a like and comment and subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. And if you wouldn't mind, if you want to support my channel, you try using some of the affiliate links below and learn more about the gear that I use. And remember, it's not what you photograph, it's how you photograph it, and we'll catch you next time.